Our first speaker, we're pleased to have her here. If you know Mary Margaret, it's quite possibly not a good thing. And I say this not because she's not a lovely person, she's a lovely person, but she spent a good part of her nursing career in the emergency room of the Lake of the Woods District Hospital. So if you've met her there, that's what I mean. It's probably not a very good thing. I'm told she was there for more than 25 years. So. And if you know her from summers growing up on the lake, and in particular Coney Island, then it's likely a good thing. This morning she's here to share some tales of the swim program on Coney Island, and we'll get started right now. Please welcome Mary Margaret.
So I guess is that too loud? Okay, I guess I'm vertically challenged. This is too high. I think I'll just stand here because, yeah, okay. So the Kenora Swim Program. I chose to speak about the Kenora Swim Program because I grew up on Lake of the Woods and learning to swim was an important part of my summer. I'm going to share with you a bit of the history and some of the stories of the outdoor swim program. So how many people here took lessons in the program? Okay. How many taught in the program? And how many grandchildren or children were in the program? Okay, so who here wasn't involved in the program? Probably people that aren't from Kenora. Okay. While I was researching learning how to swim in Kenora, I found that the program was run by a variety of groups and called different names. The Kenora Swim Program took in Kenora, Jaffrey Mallet, Keewatin, and surrounding areas. Organized swimming lessons were started in 1929 by Athol Ferguson and George F. Dunford. They felt it was important for children living close to the lake to learn how to swim. The lessons did not succeed due to poor turnout and difficulty keeping volunteer instructors. In 1933, the Kenora Safety and Fire Prevention League, an organization sponsored by the Board of Trade and the Fire Department, arranged for swimming lessons to be given. Wednesday and Saturday afternoons, lessons were held at Coney Island Beach, taught by George Dunford and Athol Ferguson. In 1934, a YMCA Learn to Swim program was initiated. In 1940, the sponsorship of the swim program was taken over by the Kenora Rotary Club and the Kenora Miner and News. Courses were under the direction of Irene Dixon and Betty Peen. 80 swimmers were registered. Swimming lessons continued through the years. In 1950, lessons were held at Rabbit Lake Beach as Coney Beach was poor. I'm not sure why. In 1951, there were 412 registered for Rabbit Lake Beach and 138 registered for Keewatin Beach. The headlines in the Miner and News, July 17, 1951 was 105 swimmers passed tests at swimming and water safety classes held at Rabbit Lake. Splendid results attained despite chilly weather. We are still having challenges with our weather. In the early 50s, although registration was high, attendance was not due to the polio epidemic. It was felt that swimming lessons were very important. In 1953, Magistrate T.H. Wolfe, President of the Royal Cross Society, said at the award presentation that the swimming instructions they had received were not available to their parents and was a distinct privilege, and urged them to take lessons every year. While I was looking through the Miner and News old editions, every summer there were several drownings. Swimming lessons are important. In 1959, there were 23 drowning fatalities in the Kenora area and only 7 fatal automobile accidents. Boy, those are some statistics. Red Cross swimming lessons also taught water safety. In 1958, mouth-to-mouth respiration was introduced to replace the Holger-Nielsen. Everyone had to breathe into their partner for practice. Can you imagine doing that now? In 1960, Lois Regini began running the program and also got married that year to Mike Roy. Lois Roy was an important part of the Kenora outdoor swim program for many years. Due to her dedication and leadership, the youth in our area had something to look forward to in the summer and helped to provide summer employment for teenagers. This year, there were 1,000 swimmers registered in the 4 beaches: Keewatin Beach, which the Miner and News said had the best facilities. I think they were new. Norman Community Beach, Coney Island Beach, and Rabbit Lake. This was the largest of any center in the province, according to the Red Cross, and one of the largest in Canada. Classes were taken mainly by children, but some adults attended as well. My mom said her kids were taking lessons, so she might as well join us. This was also the first year a small cost was included in the registration. A contingency plan was in place for rainy days. Norman Community Club, the agricultural building for Rabbit Lake, and the old Thistle Arena for Coney Island were some of the locations. Of course, this was prior to texting, and notification was on the radio. Sometimes the Coney Island swimmers were stopped at the Argyle because it was raining. Swimming badges were presented at an awards event, and then they were published in the Miner and News. This eventually changed to badges being given out after the tests. In 1962, a select group were to undergo special training in ornamental swimming, the beginning of synchronized swimming and diving. These skills were shown off to the public in a gala swimming display, the first water show in the area. Pictures of the water show were taken by Dean Conger from Washington, D.C. for the National Geographic magazine. Mr. Conger was preparing a study of the effect of water sports on the community. The show was reported on Winnipeg television. I don't know who had TV then. Dr. Peter Playfair was a champion of the swimming program and was Red Cross Water Safety Chairman for many years. In 1965, the swim program was awarded the Scarborough Cup. This was an award given to the affiliate member of the Royal Life-Saving Society with the largest life-saving program in a community with a population between 10,000 and 50,000. We did well for a small community, almost not in Ontario. In the late 60s, swimming and sailing lessons were offered. Competitive swimming was started. The Pan Am Games were held in Winnipeg, and to celebrate, swimming races were held during the program and medals were awarded. In 1968, the leaders course to be held at Coney Island Beach in June was moved to Rabbit Lake as Lake of the Woods was too cold. We froze our foreheads doing things in the water. The participants looked very funny as we covered up in blankets and winter jackets when we weren't in the water and had very brown faces and hands. We went to the drive-in theater snack bar for lunch. That year we had 36 instructors and leaders. Competitive swimming was offered in the program. Learning how to do racing dives and turns were a challenge in our makeshift pool at Coney Beach. Diane Kidd toured the area, setting up competitive programs, ending with a meet in Thunder Bay. What fun that was for everyone. Our swimmers went on a chartered bus, stayed in the Prince Arthur Hotel, and swam in an outdoor pool. This was a first for most of the swimmers, as Kenora didn't have a pool at that time. Susan Golubeski and I were coaches and chaperones. We met up with the Fort Francis swim team, and their male coach was to help us with our male swimmers. We were 18, 19, and the responsible adults. Can you imagine nowadays letting your 10, 11-year-old child go on a trip with young adults in charge. Susan and I had no trouble keeping our swimmers in line. The competitive program was offered for a few years. Sweatshirts were made as a uniform, and I just happen to have, this is the back. I guess that one has the Lakewood Credit Union, but on the front it has, and I'm not sure, this was after my time. These are my sisters, and I don't know the difference. So anyway, oh sorry. And then there's the blue one too. When Rosemary had married Jim Robertson, competitive swimmers made an honor guard wearing their sweatshirts as the bride and groom left the church. Attending classes and teaching classes in the Kenora swim program was fun and challenging. As teachers, we were trained to always be water-wise, safe, and quick to act. Around 1976, a plane crashed on Coney Island during the afternoon swimming lessons. First on the scene were swimming instructors led by Kathy Christie. In-service was an important part of our training. Following lessons at Coney Beach, we would practice search and rescue, do links, and work on Royal Life Saving Awards. Many of us took the Award of Merit and Award of Distinction tests and added bars to our original badges. In-service happened on a daily basis. During the late 60s and 70s, summer jobs were not easy to find. Unqualified leaders sometimes were 14, and this would be a job until you finished high school or college. Some instructors continued to teach as adults. Marilyn Corey was a product of the Kenora Swim program and ran our pool until retirement. I taught on the northern tip of Baffin Island, and Kerry Mummery went on to earn his PhD and is Dean of Faculty of Physical Education and Recreation at the University of Alberta, just to name a few. We were paid at the end of the program. Unqualified leaders started at about $35 for a session. On payday, we would have to pick up our checks at the town office on Main Street. Many times the checks weren't ready, and we would camp out at the office waiting. We had fun as swimming teachers and have maintained long-lasting friendships. Rainy summers were met with sand dances singing "Here Comes the Sun," end-of-season wind-ups with barbecues, and of course, swimming fun. Teaching at Norman Beach one day, our swimmers, led by Gail Zirkin, bet us that we couldn't swim home to Coney Island during our lunch break. Brian Hurst and I swam home, of course, with a boat beside us, and we went on to teach our afternoon classes. It was just a regular day as a teenager. Swimming lessons were supported by our community. Car dealerships provided us with rides from town to Rabbit Lake on a daily basis, sometimes in a fancy car, and sometimes in the back of a pickup. The Kenora swim program began providing lessons to a wide variety of swimmers, mums and tots, tadpoles, adults, and we started to teach mentally challenged swimmers. Sailing lessons were started at the old Lands and Forest Water Base on Coney Island. One of the first instructors was Sandy Riley, who went on to sail in the Olympics. This program eventually was not involved with the swim program. Lifeguarding was also started, and most beaches had lifeguards during the day. That's unheard of now. Swimming lessons at Coney Island Beach involved taking the Argyle to the island. Swimming registration included your transportation. This was a family affair. Moms came with all their children, packed a lunch, and spent the afternoons at the beach. I am sure many people can remember rushing to catch the Argyle as they had no other way home. We had many dedicated teachers and directors. My most memorable one was Lois Roy. Lois ran the Kenora Swim program for many years. Lois instilled a real professionalism to our teaching. She had swimmers call us Mr. and Miss. Uniform bathing suits were worn. Oh, those hard breast cups. Everybody looked great. We had to have written lesson plans for each class, and we had to do daily in service, earning awards. A minimum was barring your bronze medallion. You either loved or hated Lois, or both, as she expected your best and wouldn't accept less. There is a memorial for Lois on Coney Beach. Test day. At the end of the lesson program was the dreaded test day. Students had numbers put on their foreheads, back, and shoulders with lipstick to identify them for the examiner. Red Cross swimmers were tested by program instructors. When my sister-in-law Leah joined our family, she showed us her beginner card, and my sister Kathleen had signed it as the examiner. That's before we knew Leah. Royal life-saving examinations were done by visiting examiners. Willie Mueller was a memorable examiner as he scared us all. One examiner didn't feel we were doing drown proofing with enough precision. We were moving around too much. He was going to demonstrate the proper technique. After diving in and catching his breath due to the cold, he found that drown proofing in the lake, with the waves and the water movement, he couldn't do the precision that he could do in the pool. Go figure. I must say that he realized the challenges of testing in the lake. The Kenora outdoor swim program finally came to an end. Kenora built an indoor pool and for a few years continued with outdoor swimming lessons. But with increased use of the pool and declining registration, it was ended. Our area still believes that learning how to swim is important. Lessons are held all winter in the pool. We have a competitive swim program, and the schools have swimming lessons. Now I have some pictures to show you, and then if anybody has any questions or comments, you can, I don't know if Lisa's got her sheet up, but she does. Well, you know what, I'm left-handed. Okay, so now this is, that's an old picture. Well, that was one that came from the museum, and if you, okay.
Somebody wants to know who the hunk in the middle is.
Okay, well, I think that was a foreigner, but I'm not sure. This is before my time. Anyway, that was Ron Mossop? Is that how you say Mossop? Oh, so he wasn't a foreigner. No, okay. He's a foreigner to me. Okay, so that, and that's another one. And that's him. And this is at Coney. And that's just doing holds and releases. Yeah. And this is one that Laurie Nelson commented about, the teacher standing on the dock and the kids in the water, and that was one of her big memories. The teachers didn't get in the water, but the leaders did. And to celebrate Water Safety Week, that we had a cake. Well, yes, but that was Water Safe. That's Walter. And then there's and you can see how nice we looked. And Lois, of course, is at the beginning. And that's another group of, and you can see that's right at Coney Beach. And I think this one's in Norman, and somebody's breathing into somebody. This one's, yeah, that's Lois. And that's at Coney. And Coney again. And that's a big group of us. I'm not in there. Now that's me in the middle. And my sister Kathleen is on Oh, just a sec. Oh, I screwed up. There. Except why doesn't it want to work? Okay, Kathleen is on the right of me, or on the left, and then Diane Kidd is there. But I don't know who the others are. And this is ornamental swimming. It was kind of funny hearing that. That's just the practice. Oh, well, yeah, and that's drown proofing. At least the one, I don't know, I think that might be drowning. But that is the drown proofing. And now, Coney is a lot different now. And those are the makeshift, those are the lanes that we were swimming in to practice the. And now, this one is in the paper, and there are lots of people there that I think people would know. But I'm not sure. Oh yeah, oh for sure it's the 70s, because down on the, sitting down is my sister Ann, and I think Barb Chisholm are the two, and then behind Ann is Kathleen. I'm not in there because by then I was nursing, I think. And Karen Jackson and Kathy Johnson, and there's lots of, I think that was the last one. Okay, thank you.